Hello friends, let us now learn some points about the pathogenesis of atherosclerosis. In the pathogenesis of atherosclerosis mainly occurs in response to injury. Injury can be due to any factors which were discussed in the last class. So in this class we are just going to deal with how the atherosclerotic plaque is formed on a hole. So if you see the first and foremost, okay, there is endothelial injury. There is some reason, the above reasons in which were discussed, there is endothelial injury. Whenever there is endothelial injury, this can be any type of injury. This endothelial injury can be due to mechanical denudation, where the endothelial cells can be mechanically separated, or there can be due to immune complex deposition, or due to chemicals, radiation, or due to intimal thickening. Anything can cause endothelial injury, and due to this endothelial injury can also occur due to toxins also, like cigarette smoke, homocysteine, infectious agents like microbes also can cause endothelial injury, or sometimes inflammatory cytokines, especially the tumor necrosis factor, will also cause endothelial injury. But among all these, if you were asked what is the two causes which you have to name which are most important in endothelial injury, then they are hemodynamic disturbances and hypercholesterolemia. Hemodynamic disturbances and hypercholesterolemia are the two important causes which are involved in atherosclerosis, that is endothelial injury, which are involved in endothelial injury. These are the two causes. So first we will learn some points about hemodynamic injury disturbances. Now in hemodynamic disturbances, this is mainly, okay, these are important. In hemodynamic disturbances, this is nothing but flow of blood. The flow of blood can be of two types. It can be either laminar flow, this can be either laminar flow, or it can be turbulent flow. Normally laminar flow is present normally in our blood vessel. Turbulent flow can occur especially when at the branching points of the vessels we can have turbulent flow, or whenever there is some injury, this can cause turbulent flow. So whenever there is this laminar or non-turbulent flow, this will protect from atherosclerosis. This turbulent flow will predispose the patient to atherosclerosis. Right? Now let us learn about lipids. Okay, lipids are actually, so one is endothelial injury, second is accumulation of lipoproteins. Okay, second, there is accumulation of lipoproteins will occur. Here the lipids are transported in the blood. In the bloodstream, lipids are not transported alone. They are transported along with their specific apoproteins. Okay, so when lipids combined with apoproteins, they form lipoprotein complexes. There is a term called as dyslipoproteinemia. This dyslipoproteinemia occurs when there is lipoprotein abnormalities will result in this dyslipoproteinemias. In this dyslipoproteinemias, you will see presence of increased LDL levels, decreased HDL levels, and also you will see in this dyslipoproteinemia levels also occurs due to mutations which are leading to defects in apoproteins or lipoprotein receptor defects. So all these will result in dyslipoproteinemias. So as a result, these dyslipoproteinemias will affect the lipid levels circulating. Okay, then Now, in the atherosclerotic plaques, okay, in the atherosclerotic plaques, if you see, the dominant lipids that occur in atherosclerotic plaques are mainly cholesterol and cholesterol esters. And if there is any genetic defects which will lead to the hyperlipoproteinemia, then in such cases there is increased predisposition to formation of atherosclerosis and predisposition to myocardial infarction even before the 20 years of age. If there are other genetic disorders, especially or acquired disorders like diabetes mellitus or hypothyroidism, these can also cause hypercholesterolemia, which predispose to atherosclerosis, thus leading to premature atherosclerosis, that is before the age of 40 to 60 years. Then if you use drugs which decrease the cholesterol levels, obviously the atherosclerosis will decrease, right? So now this hyperlipidemia can occur, as I have said, it occurs, right, whenever. Now what happens if there is hyperlipidemia? So if there is hyperlipidemia or increased lipid levels, particularly increased cholesterol levels, these will impair the endothelial function, okay. Whenever they impair the endothelial function, how do they impair the endothelial function? These will release the free radicals or reactive oxygen species. They will release free radicals or reactive oxygen species, and they will cause damage to the membrane, okay. Now these lipoproteins will accumulate under the intima. If this is the intima, these lipoproteins will come and they accumulate within the intima, okay, and these will aggregate, and these lipoproteins are oxidized by the free radicals, and as a result these lipoproteins are foreign substances, right, which are present in intima. So macrophages will come and they will try to digest these, they will engulf these lipids, okay. When macrophages with their scavenger receptors, okay, these macrophages will have scavenger receptors, they will now ingest the lipids, and as a result they will form the macrophages with lipid cells in them. These macrophages with lipid cells in them are called as foam cells. These are lipid laden foam cells. The macrophages have LDL receptor related proteins, and with the help of these LDL receptor related proteins, these macrophages will ingest the lipid, and thus they result in formation of foam cells. Now these modified foam cells, macrophages, the smooth muscle cells in the intima, all these will produce growth factors, cytokines and chemokines, okay. Now these will produce. Now in the intima, if you see, this is the intima and this is the media. In the intima, now this intima is completely filled with many macrophages which have foam cells in them, okay. And now even in the other cells also there will be accumulation of cholesterol crystals, okay. Now these cells will which are present, these will produce the inflammation, and this will lead to the production of pro-inflammatory cytokine, which is interleukin 1, which will recruit leukocytes, particularly monocytes. Once the T cells, then these will also activate the T cells. These T cells will in turn increase the production of cytokines and chemokines, and the monocytes get converted into even more macrophages, and these macrophages will release reactive oxygen species, and these macrophages also release reactive oxygen species which will again increase the LDL oxidation. Okay, so this occurs round and round. Okay, so these activated T cells are producing cytokines and chemokines, and they will also produce interferon gamma. This interferon gamma will in turn activate the macrophage again. Okay, now, and as a result at the end, lots and lots of growth factors are released. These leukocytes, vascular wall cells, all these will release many growth factors. What does these growth factors do? These growth factors will cause the smooth muscle proliferation in the media. Now all the smooth muscles in the media are proliferated with the help of these growth factors, and even there is synthesis of extracellular matrix also. Then now there is smooth muscle proliferation and extracellular matrix. Right, now these smooth muscles which are present in our externa, these now in our media, these will now migrate to the intima. Okay, now if you see, this is the intima, this is the macrophages which are present, these are the cholesterol crystals which are present, that means all these are foam cells. Now the smooth muscles from the intima have now migrated to the smooth muscles from the media have now migrated to the intima, and thus they have become neo-intimal smooth muscles. Okay, these neo-intimal smooth muscles will now appear as a fatty streak in the vessels. We can't see all this in the vessels, right? Actually in the vessels what we see is just a small yellowish raised elevation is seen at this stage, and this is called as fatty streak. And now there is further release of further growth factors like platelet derived growth factors are released. There is release of further fibroblast growth factor, transforming growth factor, all these are released from macrophages, endothelial cells and smooth muscle cells, and this finally will stimulate the even more smooth muscles and also extracellular matrix, and as a result at the end they will form an atherosclerotic plaque like this, which is covered by a fibrous cap. Okay, here you will have lots of macrophages, and this also macrophages containing the lipid granules, that is you will have the foam cells, and you will also see the smooth muscle cells. Okay, so this is what we call it as atherosclerotic plaque. Okay, so now let us now learn about the morphology of atherosclerosis. So in the morphology, first we will have to learn about the fatty streak. Fatty streak is mainly composed of, it looks grossly just like a small yellowish elevation. Okay, this fatty streak is lipid filled macrophages are present. They are just small yellowish spots. In the beginning, if you see, these fatty streaks will be as small endoish spots, and they will coalesce. These spots will coalesce to form a fatty streak of around 1 centimeter or even longer. Okay, these fatty streaks are present as early as adolescence itself. They will be present as early as adolescence. Slowly they will progress to form a mature atherosclerotic plaque, where you will see in this atherosclerotic plaque you will see the thickening of intima is seen, with lipid accumulation, lots of macrophages or foam cells in between, along with the intimal muscle cells you will see. So, grossly if you see in the blood vessel, it looks like a small elevated structure like this, which is yellowish white, and slowly this will get superimposed by the thrombus. Whenever there is an injury or ulcer, normally there is a fibrous cap which is covering this atherosclerotic plaque. If this fibrous cap will rupture at a place, okay, whenever the fibrous cap will rupture at a place, in such cases this will lead to the formation of, so endothelial injury will occur. So, as a result, the platelets will come accumulate here and they result in formation of thrombus. This thrombus may get detached from the blood vessel, leading to embolus, leading to different organs like brain, leading to stroke and TIAs, or it can go to heart causing myocardial infarction, or it go to kidney or in any other areas, right. So, this is about the atherosclerotic plaque. So, if you wanted to see the layers of atherosclerotic plaque, okay, then first we have 3 layers of atherosclerotic plaque. 3 principal components are present. First we will see the layers, okay. In the atherosclerotic plaque, only the plaque I am drawing, there is a superficial fibrous cap. There is a superficial, this is fibrous cap. This fibrous cap contains smooth muscles and the dense collagen, okay. Then beneath the side of the cap here you will have a shoulder, okay. This shoulder is more cellular and it contains lots of macrophages. See, if you see this, these are the smooth muscle cells which are present in the cap, okay. Now, beneath the cap at the shoulder you will see lots of macrophages here. You will see lots of macrophages and T cells, and you will also see some smooth muscle cells here also, okay. There, here and there you will see smooth muscle cells, and deep to this fibrous cap you will see necrotic core. You will see the necrotic core which contains the lipids. Deep layer you will see the necrotic core which contains debris, foam cells, cholesterol contents, all those will be present, okay. So, these are the important things. So, if you were asked about the components of atherosclerotic plaque, they include smooth muscle cells, macrophages, T cells, extracellular matrix including collagen, elastic fibers, proteoglycan, intracellular and extracellular, it can also cause intracellular and extracellular lipids. So, this is about the atherosclerotic plaque. Thank you for watching.